Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Two Limes and a Lemon. My name's Dave, and I'm joined with...
You want us to say our names?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Natalie.
Hi, my name is Danielle.
Hello, this is Two Limes and a Lemon, coming at you.
Are we having theme music? Like, how do we... Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's gonna do us some, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nat.
Danielle.
Two Limes and a Lemon. This week we are looking into Weapons. It's a new film that's just been released a few weeks ago, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I said to the guys, let's just use that expensive ticket money we did to buy a cinema ticket, and let's do a little review of what we thought about it and have a little discussion. So, want to say, not at the start of this podcast, we're going to just talk about general themes of the film and stuff like that, but not really be too heavy with the spoilers. But when we get going, we will go into some heavy spoilers. But I think Danielle will definitely do a shout for us when we're going to go into that part.
Yeah, our patented spoiler alert will come up, and you'll definitely know that we've transitioned into spoiler territory. It's a spoiler zone!
We'll do it after the segment where Danielle talks about everyone's costumes. So Danielle's costume of the week. We'll go into heavy spoilers. Yeah, so Weapons. What is Weapons about? Does anybody know? Okay, so Weapons stars a host of characters where 17 children from an 18-children classroom have gone missing. During that night, they have just fled their houses, doing the aeroplane run into the unknown. Teacher... Is she involved? What's she done? We follow a cast of strange individuals with different ways they want to try and solve this mystery or not solve the mystery. And we kind of follow their journeys and find out what happens until we kind of get this unveiling of what happens in the end.
One way or another, they're all sort of involved with this disappearance in different ways.
I had no idea about this film. All I've seen is that they run with their hands out and some kids have gone missing. I didn't look at any of the marketing materials. I know the podcast a couple of weeks ago or last week, depends on when this goes out. You said go see it, and then me and Nat
went and saw it.
We took your advice.
Just went and saw it, yeah. And I'm really happy we did because it was a fantastic movie. And I think it was just because it was done in such a different way for horror. Like it had all the horror elements and stuff, but how the story was told for each character's perspective. It was almost like chapters in a book, right?
Yeah, it's like non-linear storytelling.
Yeah.
So it's like you would focus on one character to a certain point and then jump to somebody else, but they're all sort of working towards that same point of where it all comes together. So it definitely is like the chapters of a book, yeah. Or like something like Game of Thrones where you don't really have chapters, you just have like a character name and then their bit of the story to add to the overall arching sort of theme of it all.
What kind of sets this apart from other things that I've seen where it has the chapters with different perspectives is there's parts of the film that overlap within the different perspectives, so you get to see the same scene from a different perspective as well in a different context.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely. And just like the different camera angles, so you're thinking like, oh, this is like completely changed the way that I see this scene now, just from it being from this different angle.
Like the whole thing kind of takes over from like a couple days, but it's very like you get somewhat, it gives you a little bit of information about the story or what's been happening. Then it goes black screen. Going to go rewind all the way back to start again, and we're just going to see from this character's perspective.
But it never gets boring, because obviously like some of them where it goes back, you're like, oh, but we've already kind of seen this, but it's always fresh with whatever character you go to next.
I would say as somebody who loves, like, horror movies are my favorite genre, and so I tend to see the gamut. Like, normal movies, there's a certain quality that I'm usually looking for when I go see a film. I mean, differently now that we're doing this podcast, but horror films I try and support regardless. So if there is a horror film out at the theater, I try and see it at the theater so that they keep putting horror films into the theaters. It's important to me. If I can touch upon real quick, the marketing of this film I thought was really interesting. I wasn't sure what was going to happen through most of the film, and that's a really unique thing for a film, especially a horror film nowadays. Partially that was because there was nothing spoiled in the initial spoilers. Like there were just just clippets of scenes. Like, you knew the general plot that these 17 children were missing, and then you just saw sporadic scenes that kind of gave you an uneasiness and a feel of the vibe of the film, but not so much the plot. And the one that really comes to my mind is there was an ad that would play on TikTok, and it was a screen cut horizontally in 3. And so in the top panel was the teacher character, the middle panel was the little boy character, and on the bottom panel was the principal. And it was all 3 characters shopping at the grocery store or at a store at different points of the film. And it was sort of mirroring the same action, but with these 3 different perspectives. So it was a kind of subtle way of explaining what the film was going to be without telling you anything about the film. And I thought that was really inventive. Yeah. Because too much nowadays, you sit through a trailer and you see...
It's obvious, isn't it?
You see the final scene a lot of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And you can work out from a trailer the whole story, yeah.
The whole film's there, right? I do feel, like when you're watching a horror film and have no idea what you're going to expect going in, I think it's a better experience. Like, for example, I watched... what's the Smile film?
Smile?
I watched Smile. What's the Smile, yeah. So I watched just the film. I hadn't seen any of the trailer or anything like that. I had no idea what it was about, apart from people smiled and they died. I liked it. It was a really good film, but there was a thing in the trailer where the woman's head kind of flings round at the car.
Oh yeah, it just like drops into frame.
Yeah, like I had no idea about that jump scare, and then I thought I was like, that was amazing build up, and I was like, that scared the hell out of me. But when I watched the trailer, I saw that bit in, so I was like, again, that's completely spoiling. So whereas with this film, it just gives you the idea of what the film's about. It's a mystery. There's some weird shit gonna happen. Just come and see it and find out what happens.
Definitely, like from my perspective, all I'd seen was the trailer of the kids like Naruto running in the dead of night to wherever they're off to. But although you knew it was going to be like a horror movie, it was more leaning towards it's going to be like a mystery, like a solve it, like rather than a full horror. So I didn't realize it was probably going to go as heavy on the horror side of it. I thought it was going to be more of like a crime mystery rather than a horror. So
Hannibal Lecter.
Yes, like that sort of like horror, more than just like a supernaturally kind of heavy gore based movie.
I think it follows nicely with his previous film Barbarian, where again it was sort of the chapters of the story, but you didn't get into any real horror elements. There was like some tension and scares through the beginning of it, but you didn't get into the real horror of it until quite late in the film.
I was going to say, we didn't do what have you been consuming.
I know, I did realise, even though we had a conversation about like, oh, are we doing that?
Oh no, I was like, where can I jump in with this bit? I was like, we'll finish the segment bit about the marketing. We have to go back to. We're going to see what everyone's been up to in terms of consuming. So have you been binge watching a show? Have you been eating lovely food? What have you been consuming this week? Playing video games? It could be anything. So Danielle, what have you been up to?
So my consuming this week ties in with my last consuming, which, depending on how we release these, might be the one that follows up on it. I've started a new craft. It's called diamond painting. And it's not like, there's nothing super creative about it. It's basically like paint by numbers, but you have these little gems that you stick to it. So the pattern is laid out with little numbers of the color gem that you put into it, and there's adhesive on the picture, and so you just kind of use this little pen that has wax on the end of it and pick up these gems and put it in. And it is like, it's an anxiety aid for me, I think. Like it has that hyper focus that I find doing something like a jigsaw puzzle does. So I was using it because I had a 400-page book for my book club that needed to be done within a week. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to read this in time. So I've got an audio book on, and then I'm doing this like hyper focus, put these little gems on.
I thought you were going to be like, oh, I'm never going to do this, so I just did something else instead.
I can put the audiobook on at like 1.5 speed, and I'm just like buzzing through it. But the way it relates to my last consuming is to start out learning this craft. I bought this set of coasters that have different Taylor Swifts on them. So I'm making little bejeweled Taylor Swift coasters.
So, Dad, what have you been up to?
I have been playing Fallout 76.
Why?
Why? Why do you want to say that about my things? I was like, why? Boring.
I hate Fallout so much.
I have been playing Fallout 76 for quite a long time, but I have never used it as one of my what have you been consuming, so better late than never. The main draw of the game for me is, apart from going out into the wasteland and shooting a load of feral ghouls, is you get to come back and design your homestead. Which is pretty much the point for me in most games. So go out, get a load of junk, and then bring it back and make something beautiful with it. That's the end game. Make a very nice house.
But like in a Fallout shelter, right?
No, it's above ground.
Oh, okay.
You know what, the saddest bit is going to be when we play Dreamlight Valley and that comes on.
Yeah, I mean, I have been playing a lot of Dreamlight Valley too, but I'll go with, I think I've already said Dreamlight Valley before, so I'll go Fallout.
What's the 76?
Oh, so you come out of Vault 76 at the beginning. Obviously, with this particular game, unlike the other Fallouts, it's multiplayer, open world, you can visit other people, you can quest round together, there's like dungeony sort of areas you can go into. So yeah, that's what I've been consuming. How about you, Dave?
I have been consuming we made a lovely beef stew.
Oh, that sounds so boring.
Yawn.
Natalie, I don't like this attitude you've brought to the podcast recently. You're covering it, you're flapping your arms around.
Whatever. Tell us about your bloody beef stew.
So this stew was beef and broccoli with cut up ginger and...
Say, it must not have been very good if you can't remember what was it.
Okay, it was just, what was I doing? Yeah, and it was the garlic as well. So we put that into a wok and we put some soy sauce in there. Okay,
this doesn't sound like stew to me. Stew to me is like a soup.
No, this sounds like a stir fry.
It was I think it was just a stir fry, you know. But, whatever it was, it tasted lovely, and now I know how to make it. So now I'm going to use this until I'm bored of this taste.
I expect that when I come to your flat, then you can make me some nice beef stew / stir fry.
Stir fry, but it was really nice. But yeah, so that's what I consumed, and it was lovely, and I'll happily make
I'm
that
happy
again.
for you. It was very interesting to hear about your beef stew.
Yeah, I'm glad it was. You can find, actually, if you want, you can find the recipe on our Instagram. I'll put it on there, and I'll put a picture of the food, because I think we took a picture of it as well. Okay, so let's go on to the main topic. So, do we want to talk about the director? Does anyone know about him? Nat, do you know anything first?
I know his name is Zach Kreger, or some people say it's Krieger, but apparently the consensus is it's Kreger. He is the director and writer, and he also did Barbarian, as we touched upon previously. He didn't have the ending to this when he first started writing it, and then halfway through when he was writing it, he kind of had like a light bulb moment of, he was like, oh, I know how I'm going to end it now. Also, it was a way to deal with his grief, because he had a friend that passed away.
That's true.
I think in 2021, and so each of the characters that it goes to, it kind of embody a different part of grief.
I know that there's a shot where Wong's character is putting all the hot dogs out for their documentary dinner time. That was like a shout out to his friend, because apparently that was like an in-joke they did with each other or something. So he wanted to put that in without those reasons. So that was quite a little touching moment that I had no idea about and then read up about, and I was like, oh, that's actually really nice.
We have to leave a tab to talk about the hot dog scene later when we get into the film. But he was part of a sketch comedy group called The Whitest Kids You Know, and it was on IFC, the channel IFC, for, I looked at it last night, it was either 5 or 9 years. And his best friend, the one who'd passed away, was also in this comedy group with him. And I think I read that the hot dog thing was like one of the sketches, like had to do with one of the sketches that they did.
Oh, okay.
One thing I'd like to touch on is that Zach Kreger is one of this series of newer horror directors that I'm really excited about. And I get excited anytime I see that any of these people have something new coming out. And I think I think we'd all agree Barbarian was amazing. And whenever I saw that he was making another film, I knew immediately that I wanted to see it. If
you think about Shining, and they've all got the Scream mask and all those kind of iconic films, this I think that we're like in an area now where like this film, Weapons, it's got an iconic, those kids running like they're in the airplane, that weird thing. That's going to be on posters and people to come, oh yeah, this is the thing. That's that's Weapons, yeah. So it's definitely got that vibe around it where this is going to be an iconic image.
There's such a simple thing to make them run like that, because I don't think that scene would have been as impactful if they were just running normally. Like, because they've got their arms out, and it's just such a simple little move that you see kids doing all the time, or like the Storm Area 51 run. Yeah. But it's done in such a way that it straight away you're like, well, that's weird, that's eerie. It puts you at an unease.
And added with the music as well, it kind of just makes it quite haunting, doesn't it?
And even more haunting is I read that he modeled that gesture after, there's this famous picture of this girl in Vietnam who had gotten napalm or something on her. And it's this like young naked girl kind of running away. And that was the inspiration for how they ran.
Yeah. One other thing that I know that he had said is that with his scenes, he wanted them to be awful without using jump scares. His reference was the twins in the hallway in The Shining, because although it's just girls just standing in a hallway, it has such an impact without it. It's like the quiet moments are more impactful than the big loud poppy moments sort of thing.
Well, I think somebody like James Wan, like 15, 20 years ago, was this new school of horror with Saw and then the Conjuring films. And I feel like the Conjuring films have sort of been the template for what most modern horror looks like, which is a lot of loud noise jump scare. But to me, I feel like those kind of scares are a little cheaper than, being able to build dread and get a scare like we see in this film. Yeah. Not to say that either is bad or worse, but I feel like this is really refreshing and something different than what's become the status quo in horror films. Guys, do we want to enter the spoiler zone?
Any costume things you want to talk about?
I don't know if I noted any costumes in this, to be honest. I think the only one that I found myself was the cop character's girlfriend wears this very fitted sort of athleisure wear outfit.
Is that when she beats her up in the shop?
Yeah, and I think that was the only thing that I really noted.
I noticed that there was some Disney t-shirts.
Oh.
Yeah, their placement of their TV was weird in that scene. Why is it in the corner of the room? They've got to kind of turn their heads whilst they're watching TV.
Maybe they're intellectuals that don't watch TV that much.
Maybe they're going to talk over it and have their little snack pack.
Yeah, have their 7 hot dogs.
The hot dog discussion. So it's 2 men with 7 hot dogs. I've pondered over this a lot since the movie. Was one going to get 3 and the other was going to get 4? Were they going to split 3.5 apiece? Did one just have 1 hot dog and the other guy had 6 hot dogs? And there weren't different toppings. There was just mustard on them.
Yeah, I did think the toppings could have been better.
And then they had it with a pile of carrots, some potato chips, and this massive bowl of what looked like ranch dressing. Were they going to dip the hot dogs in the ranch?
I don't know. These are all good questions, Danielle, but I don't have an answer for you.
Such deep questions. Yeah.
We're going to head into spoiler territory now. So if you haven't seen the film, please just stop the podcast. If you do want to watch it, I suggest going to see it. Go watch it. And then if you're still interested in what us 3 have got to say about it, come back and watch the end. But yeah, other than that, spoiler zone. So Gladys. so glad.
Well, that's definitely a fashion choice if we're going back to fashion of the week.
Before that, I think this movie does a good job of not breadcrumbing in that there's going to be this other, the movie starts off and they made Justine broken enough and acting weird enough that I was maybe she is involved in it, the teacher, maybe there's something to do with that.
I think because they made her quite unlikable as a character. Yeah. Obviously they've established that she's a bit of a drinker. She makes the cop cheat. Well, not makes him, obviously he's got his own will. She's not forcing him.
She's a bit close with students.
And a bit close with students, and she's just argumentative.
Yeah, and she starts day drinking and following the kid around.
Yeah, stalking a child. Yeah, the one that doesn't get
banging
taken
on the door. I did like that scene though on her bit where she's just waiting outside the house, and then the door just opens and it's just pitch black, and then kid goes in and then closes. It's something ominous is more afoot here. It's not just a mystery and there might be a killer or kidnapper. It's it's got some sort of ominous other nature in her.
Yeah, exactly. definitely. It became like more paranormal as it went on.
Yeah, the way that door opens, you don't see anybody in the doorway, and just kind of like eats up people that come into the house. And it's kind of like a far back shot.
It's like no sound either. It's just
just emptiness almost.
yeah, it's so well placed as well.
But in each of the stories, you see like a glimpse of Gladys, and it's so like jarring because you're like, what the hell was that?
When is the actual first time that we see Gladys?
Behind her head at the start, when when that little girl's doing the voiceover and she's explaining the story, and he said, "Oh, they speak to the kid." You see the back of Gladys's head.
Oh, I didn't notice
on the
that.
right of him, I think. Yeah, he's kind of there. She's kind of there, but you think it's just the mum or something, so it's not there.
Because I was thinking the first time was when she like crawls through the car and takes a piece of that girl's hair.
Oh, that was the mum, wasn't it?
That was the mother.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, the first time I remember seeing her is Justine is having a nightmare, and she like wakes up from the nightmare and she sees Gladys on the ceiling.
Yeah, I just couldn't picture when I first actually saw her as like knowing that she was like the entity, I suppose.
What was it like in the cinema for you? Because people were giggling when she came out for us.
I wanted to see it opening weekend, but then I also wasn't in the mood to see it in a big, like with a ton of people. So I had taken the day off and saw it in the afternoon. So that, like, even with summer and people having off, there was probably only 10 people in the theater with me.
I wish that's how we saw it.
Yeah, we had like...
We're going to divulge here, but we had some arse behind us with his phone on loud. Like every 15 minutes he seemed to get a message. And it's like, it kept taking me out of what I would have said was like a perfect movie. And you were just like getting frustrated.
That's a bummer.
It's like, this is why, just wait until the DVD comes out. Well, I remember the bit when the mum comes out and she's brandishing the scissors and she's Jack Sparrow walking over to the car. But it was like, oh, it's a bit haunting. And then soon I remember when the door opened of the car and closed, I heard Nat like, oh, she's in the car.
There is a lot of build up, obviously, to like the themes of Gladys, with the whiteboard at the beginning, which says Parasite on there, and then later on they have a discussion about tapeworms, some of the characters, and then the documentary that the guys are watching is about that cordyceps, like the thing from Last of Us. Because obviously, I feel like really bad because it's like, I know we've said spoiler warning, but I'm like, obviously Gladys's whole thing is that she's a parasite on the energy of others, basically. Yeah. So it kind of like builds up that suspense that you're like kind of getting all these hints, but you don't really know until like the last bit of the movie what she's trying to accomplish.
Even in the first set of stories with the teacher, there's somebody comes who you later find out is the father, comes and writes witch in red paint on her car. And at the time I was like, oh, like I wouldn't even think that there was like a witch element to this story. It was so completely off of that track in my mind.
I saw an interesting theory actually where people have been trying to work out how old Gladys is. And she apparently at some point mentions, I can't picture it in myself, but she mentions the consumption. And people have sort of said that they reckon that she has been alive for like hundreds of years, and she's like been through the Salem witch trials and like all this stuff. There's like whole big fan theories behind like how old this lady actually is.
So the director, he said to her when he gave her the role, apparently he met her once and was like, yeah, you're the person for this job. No questions asked. After like a chat, apparently he went in there going, I'm not just going to hire her. I know I get energetic and I love meeting new people and I just want them to be in my film, but I'm going to go in there with a smart mind and to say, yeah, that was really good, and then think about it. But apparently after meeting her, he was like, yeah, you're in the film. I need you to be Gladys. He said to her when he was doing the film, he's like, here's two options. Gladys is rather a being that's trying to fit in with humanity and is like a caricature of that and just trying to fit in and obviously like using humanity for their own selfish needs, but is trying to blend in and be a human. Or you're playing a character where you're sick and you're just trying to get back to normal and being healthy again, but you have to do it this way. You're kind of like you're doing it through this like sort of witchcraft. energy thing. But when you choose that, don't tell me which one you're going to go for. You just decide. So I thought that was quite a cool directing note to give someone.
100%.
Just to say, do we one of these, act it like that. And maybe she went like, I could do this one or this one. But what do you think she kind of might have gone with?
Definitely the first one. She's kind of like a fish out of water, almost like an alien if they were trying to come down and infiltrate society. Or everything about her, like her movements, the way she speaks, like the cadence of her voice, it's all a little off kilter. It makes you feel on edge, like everything she does. Obviously even from her makeup, it's like she knows that people wear makeup, but she's not getting it in any of the lines sort of thing, like her colouring in.
She's gone with a bright orange wig.
Yeah, it's just a little bit on edge, everything. So I would say if I was looking at it, she went for the first option.
And to echo the look of her in this film, this actor, when I watched the movie, I was like, I know that face from somewhere, but it's so strange. The actress playing her was Amy Madigan, who's probably best known as the wife in Field of Dreams. So I don't think she's done as much recently, but clearly not known as like a horror makeup kind of person. There's a part where in Alex's set of the story, and she tells him she thought the parents were going to work to what she needed, but it's not going as planned. And that's whenever she gets the idea to take the kids in. And that's kind of where for me, like the second part of it also ties in.
I definitely feel it was confusion for me because I was conflicted. It's like, I can see the alienness of it, but when she's serious and acting like you need to do this now to like Alex, or this is don't go across the salt or stuff like that. She was very much doing it in a way where it was like, this is to just benefit me. I need to use these powers to make me not be sick anymore, essentially. But I like the idea that it could be otherworldly though, and she's got this weird plant from somewhere with a stick.
Yeah, it's such a strange looking plant. Yeah.
I think with her, it's like it's such a fine line of it could have been over the top, but it never actually went over that line. It was still in the realms of believability, even though some of the things she's doing are like so like kooky and out there. It never crossed it into being like, oh well, that's ridiculous kind of thing. Yeah,
she made it believable, right?
Yeah,
it's like almost like long legs kind of style.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Yeah, what did you think of the big sort of ending with her getting chased down by all those kids?
I mean, I think by that point it had gone into maybe the realms of it being a bit more ridiculous. Yeah. It definitely wasn't scary. At that point, I know that our cinema was laughing a lot with like the kids crashing through the windows and like running through people's living rooms and things like that. So at that point, it did almost become a little bit of a comedy, but it was still compelling, but it did have a different tone.
The interesting thing in that scene, I thought, was they had what is kind of funny, like her running away and running through these people's houses and the kids just like barreling through glass windows and things, but intercut with Alex like desperately trying to like keep his parents out of the room, and like, you know, these parents, and they're now like these monsters. Like the mother's head comes through almost like The Shining, like, and he's desperately with, you know, trying to replicate what she did with this plant. He can like stop it all.
Yeah, because it cuts between all three, because Alex is in the room, and then Josh Groban's like choking out Justine.
Not Josh Groban.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
He starts singing.
What's the character's name?
Archer.
Oh yeah. So Justine's getting choked out. Alex is trying to sort out so his parents don't kill him, essentially, and then she's getting run down by all those kids, and there's a bit where they've got her and it's cutting between all three, and it's like traumatic kind of screaming with all these kids. Then it goes to quiet with like this sort of choking scene. Yeah. And then it cuts to then the bang, bang, bang on the door, and it's like these three different things going at once. And they've all got a different tone. Yeah. It edits so well together. It just works. And then obviously the big climax of it getting ripped apart and blood everywhere and grossness. And then it all just stops. And then they all kind of interlink together and it all goes quiet kind of thing. So I thought it was really well done for a big climactic ending.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't touched upon one of my favorite characters in this, which was like the pure comic relief, which is sad to say because he's the drug addict, James, who just does like the most ridiculous things. Like right before that scene, he is possessed and trying to attack Archer, but won't back down. Like he just keeps like jumping back up, and he like throws him to the side. And it's just this like wiry looking like drug addict kid who is like this force to be reckoned with against, Josh Brolin, who played Thanos. I was going to call him Thor. Thanos.
Yeah, it's Thanos, yeah.
I would say that the James character, for me, had, like, the worst injury scene in the movie, which was him stabbing the cop in the face with, like, 3 dirty needles.
Oh, the cop.
That, to me, is just, like, the worst. Like, definitely not the worst injury in the film, but visually the worst. Like, you really felt it.
Well, I had a real visceral reaction to it because in my previous life, I worked for years in an HIV lab. And so if you got, like, we worked with HIV infected blood in the lab all the time. And there was always the fear, like, if you in any way get blood into a cut, or if you cut yourself, you have to, like, go to the doctor and they'll put you on antiretroviral treatments to, like, prevent you from getting HIV. And so that's immediately what I thought whenever he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
Like, he picks up needles twice. Or he gets stabbed once and
Yeah.
And I was just like, get him on art.
I was going to say, I used to work at the doctor's surgery and people used to bring in their sharps bins, but they would overfill them so that the needles were, like, sticking through the plastic. So again, it was like that fear of, like, trying to navigate these sharp spins, and you were like, for me it was like calling back to that because I was always worried about needle stick injuries.
Oh no. I was going to say, out of those different storylines that you saw, which did you find the most engaging? Like the little cuts to each bit.
I mean, I suppose the most compelling was Justine, because although I didn't particularly like her character, I didn't want her to be the reason that the kids had gone. So trying to find out more about her and her side of it, I suppose, was the most compelling.
But I think my favorite was Alex's. Just because, like, one, having a kid kind of, like, he carried it off really well. He wasn't kind of, like, annoying like some kid actors can be. But also I think it, like, tied up all the loose ends. And also, like, I could really understand his motivation for what he was doing. Like, he was having to kind of, like, take care of the family. And I guess something I saw an interview with the director, I guess his father or his mother was an alcoholic, and so he kind of considered Alex's story his because he had to act as a parent towards his own parent who couldn't take care of themselves.
How about you, Dave?
I like James.
You like James's was good.
Just because he's like we're introduced to him like properly in that scene when he's like just trying to open all the car doors.
Yes, that was a good scene.
Like, oh, what a skank! Like, his makeup, but he looks really tired. And
he's trying to pawn off like a little kid's toy at the pawn shop.
But he gets into the Lily house and he sees the two parents sitting there like zombies.
Yeah,
and he's like, ugh! And then he flips on a switch and he's like, I'm gonna steal from this house because they're not moving.
Or like the bit when he's going for the DVDs, he's like, oh, Willow. It's like,
we both laughed at that.
So, is it Lewis the cop? How Lewis just sort of Paul, sorry, he comes out at the door at the end. And then just drags him into the house when he's waiting for the car. Yeah, that was quite haunting. Just like, don't go in the house.
Well, the Paul character we haven't talked about much, but he's just kind of this like bridging character between things and kind of this broken guy.
Yeah, Paul wasn't my favourite. I mean, I'll get more into that on our favourite characters, worst characters. But I feel like his storyline didn't add too much to me. Apart from the fact that if he hadn't been there, then James would have gone into the police station and told them all about the parents that were zombies. And it would have probably been solved a lot cleaner than it was.
I was going to bring us back to the gun,
That was the one scene that I didn't really understand, the gun. Because obviously there's the reference to they're called weapons, but what Gladys was using them for wasn't really weapons. They were more to prolong her life force. So I didn't really understand it. So I'd be interested to hear what you both think about.
Do you reckon it's just because it's American stuff?
I do think...
Like, it's an American dad kind of...
Oh, thanks.
Is that what you're going to say? Go for it.
No!
That's what I thought it was going to be. Like, oh, American dads, like, oh, yeah, guns. It's all about weapons. That's what I was like. Is that the only sort of thing I can think of?
No, I have two answers. One, about the weapons and the kids. I think she does... The way she uses them like puppets at certain points, maybe not so much the kids, but more the way she uses Archer, Paul, and James whenever Justine is trying to get into the house at the end. She somehow is able to control them like weapons, like, to protect her.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, at that point, we didn't know that, and why would she use the symbology of like
a big gun in the sky?
I don't know what type of gun it is.
No,
yeah,
it's America.
To put into Archer's dream.
This is American.
Stop with the
guns.
No, the gun shows up in his dream.
Yeah,
specifically. Yeah. And so this was my interpretation. I haven't seen this anywhere. So, especially in recent years, I feel like American parents, one of their biggest fears are school shootings, because we have all of these like horribly tragic school shootings in this country, to the point now that like our kids are being raised with like procedures on if a school shooting happens, what they're going to do. And so part of me wondered, because it was the father's dream, and normally school shootings are the thing that they're all sort of now programmed to be afraid of, that gun was him kind of projecting that, and it wasn't that thing. It wasn't. Yeah, it didn't end up being that. Instead, it was this it had 217 on it. It was that 217. These kids did something completely. It was at home. It wasn't at school. The home where it's supposed to be like your safe haven. And so that was my own interpretation of the gun.
There's me like, it's Americans. They love guns.
The time also has like relevance to the movie, they've said, in that obviously it was a class of 19, 17 disappeared and 2 were spared. So apparently that also has some significance or symbology. That might just be people being like, oh, that fits. I don't know if that's intentional or not.
It's like Taylor Swift fans. They're just finding things and like retrofitting it back.
Yeah, exactly. I always feel like if I was like a director and people came up with things like that, I'd be like, yes, it was definitely intentional, even if it wasn't, just to make yourself look smarter.
You said yes to like 7 different theories.
Yeah.
And they're like
none of them make sense together,
I think for me it was the music that I really liked. It was very like foreboding, and this sort of drum, especially when the kids are running towards the house at the end. It had some sort of like, it's like an empty street and the music's slowly rising, and then you just see one kid. Then
that shot's very good because it's such a wide shot, and then you kind of just see them coming in from the back, like very slowly trickling in. Yeah, it was very haunting.
Yeah, he used silence well, I think.
Yeah.
And just use the sound effects. That's what I like in horror films, when they don't overuse the music. So it's like, this is scary now. It's like, no, like he's using it to help tell his story and the gravity of what's going on. So yeah.
I think that, like you say, that's kind of the trouble in horror movies nowadays. They use the music as a cue to be like, you should be scared, almost like canned laughter in a comedy tells you should find this funny. And it's like, you want to be able to make that decision for yourself, how you feel, rather than somebody inherently like telling you this is how you should feel.
Because oftentimes I feel that I jump more from the sound, like the sting of a jump scare, more than what actually happens. And we become so programmed, you end up watching these films just waiting for the jump scare to happen then. I also really liked the use of the Ring cameras. I thought that was an interesting use of like modern technology and how it kind of played into it. And, the father's grief transforming into him rewatching this Ring camera footage, trying to like solve the mystery of what happened to his son.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, also I will say, I like that his son was kind of a shit.
Oh, I agree. His son was like the one that was bullying Alex, wasn't it? And it was like, you kind of didn't really want him to come back.
Oh, that's your son? Oh,
yeah.
I was rooting for you. Not anymore.
I did see that they tried to like counterbalance the characters. So you had like the junkie and the cop. You had like the father, and then as opposed to Justine, who, although looks after kids, hasn't got any of her own kids. Like they tried to balance them out, like yin and yang, almost, I suppose, opposites.
You've got obviously young and old as well with like, Alex and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you've got a very young boy against a very old lady.
Speaking of the kids, what did people think about the voiceover at the bookending the film.
The child narration, was creepy, but I was like, well, who is doing the narration? It's obviously just like was she one of the children that had been taken? Like, again,
people online theories, no confirmation of this. Apparently, the track that plays, the musical track that plays over one of the voiceovers has a girl's name in it, and if you like freeze the frame of the picture of the 17 kids, I think there's somebody with a variation of that name. And so in the very end of the film, the voiceover says that that some of the kids have started to get their voices back, like started to be able to talk again. And so people online are thinking that this is one of those kids that's now able to tell the story.
Can we talk about our favourite characters or stuff like that? And then we'll go, because me, favourite kind of scene character kind of thing was, I think it was Wong. His weird bulging eyes.
Marcus is the character's name, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus's name, yeah. So Marcus, when he's running, he had all that sort of like streaming down his face from throwing up all that weird black gunk. And he's chasing her down. I thought for me that was just really intense. I think it was his eyes. Whatever they did, they were like bulging out, and it was
didn't
really
look human
like
anymore.
Intense. And like I was like,
I think he uses his head to kill his partner, right? Like he kind of.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be the impact. Yeah, has pushed his eyes out because of him headbutting his partner to death.
Yeah, but it was just like, he wasn't human anymore. He was just weird, and that was my favourite scene. And I like that character. He was quite funny.
I think my favourite character was Gladys. For me, she stole the show, really. But I was going to say my favourite my favourite part that she's in is when she's sitting at the table with Alex at one end and the parents on either side, and they start stabbing themselves in the face with the forks like they're jacket potatoes. Like, that scene is like, that was my favourite one, because it was just so tense, and you just wanted her like to say stop. Like, it just kept going on for so long that you're like, at what point are you going to be like, actually, I'll stop making them stab themselves in the face? That was like tense.
Did you think like, the kid went for the dad, not the mum?
Well, I did feel like the boy had more of a relationship. We'd only seen the boy's relationship with the dad. Like, obviously, he'd taken him to school and they had quite a good relationship. So I feel like it was right that he went to the dad, because if he'd gone to the mum, we don't really have a concept of what their relationship was like.
Danielle?
I liked Alex the best. I thought he was a real brave little kid, and he was like a little bit of a weirdo, but I could understand the choice, the things that he was going through just so that he could take care of his parents. And he was quite clever at the end to foil Gladys. I think my favorite scene was also the fork stabbing, so I'll pick a second one that I also really liked for different reasons, which was the scene where Justine is going to get more vodka, and Paul's girlfriend is like following her in the grocery store, and there's like this tension of you see her like taking this like weird circuitous path through the store aisles, and then you just catch glimpses of this woman like a force just coming after her, and she's like, oh, what is she gonna do? So my deeper question is that I thought of this after coming out of the film. Alex ends up having to keep everybody alive in this house by feeding them cans of cold soup. And we see him coming back from the grocery store with, like, just bundles of bags of soup. Did he put diapers on them? Did he have to, like, take them all to the bathroom?
I don't want to... we don't need to talk about that.
Did they all just, like, go in place? Because if 17 children and 2 adults were all just constantly urinating and defecating themselves, that house would have reeked.
Okay, so out of limes and lemons, let's do the lemon first. What did you think?
5 out of 5.
Nice. Natalie?
I also gave it 5 out of 5.
Oh, I'm giving it a 1 out of 5. No, I'm joking.
You're such a liar.
Troll. That's what you are, a troll.
5 out of 5 as well.
Yay.
Loved it. It was really interesting.
I think that's our first consensus.
Yeah.
Well done to Zach Kreger for getting us all to agree on a 5 out of 5 movie.
That was his goal for this podcast that didn't exist when he made the film.
Yeah. Well, actually, it'd be a 4.8 because the guy behind us, actually.
No, don't blame him. Zach Kreger had nothing to do with that guy, or did he?
Whether they're saying there's going to be a prequel about Gladys.
Oh.
Yeah, so I am excited. But then I'm like, I don't want it to ruin the mystery of her, because she's such a enigma of a character that I don't really want to know where she came from.
But cool. Okay, everyone. So that was another little lovely, quick little episode. We just thought we'd go in there with weapons while it's hot and ready for everyone to yum consume. So that's us for this week. So we'll see you next time on Two Limes and Lemon podcast. See you then. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.